So let the truth be told. We've been on a series about the 12 steps, and in the first couple of steps, we first admitted that we, of our human little selves, cannot do very much. But when we open to a higher power, that what Jesus called the Father within, what Buddhists call the Buddha nature, what you might just call the way things are, the universe, which is friendly. When we allow that power to move through us, then things can happen. And so then we surrender to it. We turn our power over to that. We say, I'm going to get my little self out of the way so my big, capital S self can begin to work miracles in my life and in the world. That's how it works. That's how it works. And so this week we're looking at steps 4 and 5 and the importance of letting the truth be told. Because here's the deal. If you try to start from where you aren't, you won't get to where you want to be. You have to start where you are. Start where you are. And until we're ready to look at where we actually are, not where we are at the deepest truth, which is that we are all that one love, right? But the tangled webs we have woven in our humanness. And we have all woven tangled webs. A lot of them, we were just born into a tangled web. It was already tangled, and all we did was just get there. And then we believed that the tangles were what life was, and so we started tangles of our own. We didn't need to use our mom and dad's our whole lives. We make our own now. We make our own from our culture, and especially as we still listen to the lies that have been told to us, that were passed on by people who didn't mean to lie. They're just passing on what they were told. So we start where we are. We admit our powerlessness. We accept access to a greater power. And here's what happens in step 4. And this is an action step. The others are, there's some action there, but it's mostly action in mind. This is much more of an active action. And the reason that these steps don't work for everybody is because everybody doesn't do them. Right? Because in my experience, if you take the action, your life will change. And the action here is to take stock of what there is. The step reads, we took a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Searching and fearless. Inventory. Okay? Inventory isn't about judgment, right? It's about what's on the shelves. What do we need to reorder? What are we running out of? What have we got way too much of that we may need to release? Send it to Big Lots. And what did we never have but we suddenly become aware is needed? That's it. We take an inventory. We say what is true. What happened? What I did? What was done to me perhaps? How it affected me. And here's the really important part. That once we get that down, once we take the inventory, then we begin this process of going, okay, whose business is that? Is that my business? Is it your business? Or is it God's business? Because those are the 3 kind of businesses we have. We have mine, we have yours, we have God's. And so much of the time we're weaving these tangled webs because we're in business that was never ours to begin with. It was never ours to begin with. Man, I truly believed that if I loved you, everything about you was my business. I believed that for many years, and I don't know how the people I loved stood it. But, I'm sure a lot of them didn't. But some of them stayed while I got it figured out. What's my business and what's not? And I was told early on in my program by the person sponsoring me, who had already worked a program, the most joyful person I ever knew in my life. She told me that I didn't have the right to pray for someone else to get sober. I'm like, what? Obviously, I'm praying every day that this person will. And obviously, it's the right thing because it's better to be sober than not sober, isn't it? Well, is that God's business? and that person's business and not mine. And what she said for me is, when you get up in other people's business, you take their dignity away. I started looking around at the people in my life that I loved, whose dignity I was hanging on to with clawed fingernails. No, I want it. You don't need your dignity. Let me fix this for you. And I had to learn how to allow everyone to have the dignity of their own mistakes. Lord knows I made enough. And I don't know if anybody was trying to fix them for me, but I can tell you this, it didn't work. I finally had to fix them for myself with the power of God working through me, with all power, that one power that we're talking about, the power of love ultimately working through me. So figure out whose business it is part of this process. And then, so here's what happens when I sometimes talk to new thought groups, which I do at conferences. Sometimes I give a workshop on the power of the 12 steps. And it's like, why dredge up the past? Aren't we positive people? We need to be positive people. I'm just going to affirm it. I'm going to affirm my new truth, and I'm not going to look at any old truth that I might have been tangled in for many, 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 many years. And then we try to take a step forward, pretending that we're not tangled, and we end up falling on our faces often. And we don't understand why. Because it's not about dredging up the past. We're not here to dredge up the past. What we're here to do is to address how the past, that we're not dredging up, but is actually hanging on to us by a million cords and some chains and some tiny threads, and sometimes just piled right on top of our shoulders. The past is what we're dragging with us unless we very intentionally look at it and let it go. And just looking at it is not the letting it go yet. There's a process for that later on. But the first step is to look at it. What happened? What did I do? What did other people do? How did it affect me? How is it still holding on to me? Because if it's not still holding on to me, I can write that down and I don't have to think about it anymore. But if it's still holding on to me, then I need a process by which to get through it. Because here's what happens. We carry shame and we carry guilt. We would like to think that we don't, but we do. And shame keeps us stuck. And guilt, unexamined, also keeps us stuck. Because if it's actual guilt and there's something we can do about it, then we get to do that thing about it, and then we get to let it go. But shame is not that way. Shame is based on a lie. Shame is based on a lie. Brené Brown has done a lot of research on shame, and one of the things that she learned through her sociological research is that shame never made anybody change. You can't shame somebody into changing. You can shame them into changing what they're doing right here while your eyeballs are on them, but the moment that's gone, they're digging in even deeper. You can't shame someone else. So if you can't shame someone else into changing, what would make you think you can change yourself, shame yourself into changing? But we do that, don't we? I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't do this. I'm bad. I suck. No. We just probably took on some business that wasn't ours and didn't handle it skillfully because we had no skills. It's not our fault. But it's something we need to stop doing, and we can't stop doing it until we see it clearly. So this is a thorough, methodical process of preparing to let go of the ways that the past holds on to us, and even the ways that our current habits hold on to us and keep us from moving forward. Many of our current habits come from the past, and that's sometimes an explanation of why I'm still doing this thing that I clearly don't want to do. Is helpful. So we take an inventory, we take a look at what's actually there without judgment, just like, oh, not very much of that. I might need some more of that. Okay, way too much of that. Oh, look at that. I never even knew that was there. I might need to address that at some point. But right now I'm just writing it down. Just writing it down. There it is on my inventory list. And then step 5 comes, which is scary because we tell the truth to God, to ourselves, and to another human being. The step says, admitted to God, ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. And we get stuck in new thought on that word wrongs, and I get it. It kind of sticks in me too. But where I would say is the exact nature of where I'm stuck, of what is going wrong that keeps me stuck. Not of where I was bad and wrong, but of what's wrong here. If something wasn't wrong, I would be free. And so where am I stuck? Where I don't want to be stuck? What hurts? What is still hurting that I might be able to let go of? So why do we share that? Why do we share it? With God, okay? Because sharing it with God means allowing not just our little human selves to look at our inventory list, but allowing our higher selves, allowing that power of love within us to look at that inventory list. You get that? We share it with God, and now it's not just a list, it's a list viewed through the eyes of love. We share it with ourselves because it's time to stop lying to ourselves, and we all do. Y'all, I am so good at denial. And it's because I practiced on it. My 10,000 hours, I got actually 2 or 3 times. Very good at it. These days, I can't stay in it very long. I can jump there for a minute. For as long as the chocolate cupcake lasts, I can stay in denial. But then the cupcake's gone, and here it still is. Now I got to address it. But man, would I rather address it head on than have it stuck on my shoulder as I walk through the rest of my life. And so that's the deal. So we share it to shed light on it. The light of love when we share it with our higher power, which really to me just means sharing it, letting my higher self have the view instead of my, oh, Melinda, you do everything wrong. Taking the shame out of it. And allowing the light of love to shine on it. And then we share it with another human being because here's why I think. So you can't take it back. If you didn't say it out loud to anyone else, you can pretend it never happened. And that is how deep my denial could be. But when we let another human being on the secret, we don't hide it from ourselves anymore. And here's the deal. As long as we're safe about the human being that we choose, which I highly recommend is someone who has already gone through this process themselves, then it takes so much of the sting out of it. Because guess what, y'all? You ain't done nothing that lots and lots and lots and thousands of millions of billions of other people have done. You are no worse than anybody. You're no better than anybody. We are all here on this even playing field. Some of us know our higher selves and try to stay in connection with that. Some of us don't know, but all of us in our humanity are one here. And so sharing it with another human being, we have an opportunity for someone to say, I don't care. I love you, not your stuff. I don't care if you drug that stuff around. I drug my own stuff around. You wouldn't believe the stuff I had. Yeah, so we share it and we take the sting out of it. We shine the light on it, and the light always heals. Always heals. That's what healing is. It's light. It's light. So that's the light of love. It's the light of self where we stop distracting and stop lying. And it's the light of another human who can normalize and contextualize things for us. We build things up in our mind that this was the worst thing that ever happened. I'm so ashamed. I'm so embarrassed by that. Have you ever had something that you did when you were 6, and if you wake up in the middle of the night and you have the thought about it, you still blush? Yeah. I don't know if you've had that experience. I have. Let it go. The blush comes from me telling myself, oh, that was bad, and you deserve to be punished for it. And you know, Don Miguel Ruiz has a lot to say about that. He said that's how we get tangled up in the first place, is we establish a system of reward and punishment, and that was never the truth, that some things you're supposed to get rewarded for and some things you get punished for. It's a system of judgment. God doesn't judge. We made that up. We made that up. And so we share it because the light heals, and the context makes us right-sized. And getting that context is also our preparation for how to make amends in the places that after we've shone the light on it and listened to that light of love, that higher self, that God of our understanding. When we have allowed that guidance, then we will know at which places we actually may have some guilt. Ooh, I did something that did not serve, it did not help either me or another, and I can do something to make amends for that so that I can go forward. And it helps me get to, I didn't do anything, that just happened and I believed it. So the only way to make amends for that is to say, honey, you don't have to believe that anymore. It's not true. It's not true. So this process gives us some preparation for how to release. This isn't necessarily the release, but it has to be out in the open before it could be released. And then what we find is that we will feel the burden lift, quickly or slowly. A friend of mine says, here's what happened to me when I went through this process. She says, I could walk through life and know nobody's got anything on me. I'm not going to walk around a corner and run into somebody I haven't seen for years who goes, aha, I know who you really are. Nobody's got anything on me. Walk through your day. What you see is what you get. I'm not trying to hide anything. What you see is what you get. And that, folks, is freedom. Freedom. The other thing that it does is it gives us a lot of compassion for others, because when we truly see, when we stop denying and we truly see what we did, what happened, how our little magical minds twisted it all up in knots and made a completely different story out of it and then perpetuated that story as we told other people, or as we started acting from a story that wasn't the truth, or tried to start from where we weren't and ended up where we didn't mean to go. All of that stuff. We have compassion because we see it can happen to anybody. It can happen to anybody. And then you run into somebody who is all tangled up in their whatever. You don't have to know what the whatever is. When they come at you in a way that's not helpful, doesn't serve, is not pleasant, is harmful, hurts, you can automatically see, oh, that's their web. That's not them. That's their chains. That's not the truth of who they are. And then we don't have to take it personally, yay. And we don't have to make a judgment and vilify another human being, which hurts us. It hurts everyone. Because I promise you, if you keep judging others, there's no way you're not judging yourself by the same yardstick, or one that's even more precise. That's the way judgment works. That's the way judgment works. So it allows us to start knowing if we have stuff, everybody has stuff, and we make a space for it. We make a space. And our world becomes more spacious. It just does. Yeah, we're not bumping up against everybody all the time. If our ego isn't like way outside of our body, then we don't have to bump into everybody else's egos all the time. We get to walk around just the size that we are, and it's such a relief not to be any better or worse, but to be part of. The ego doesn't really want to be part of. It wants to be the king. But what we know is to be a part of the one true thing, which is love. We're already a part of it, but if we don't know it, we're not receiving all the benefit that we could from it. So the moment we allow ourselves to know that we are a part of that, not any higher or lower, not any better or worse, and we get to just let go of everything else, then we start to live life on life's terms with compassion for others and for self. Because you'll never, I don't know, maybe you will. I don't anticipate that in this lifetime I'm going to stop making mistakes. I think I'm going to have to just make a mistake and then have compassion for myself, see if I have guilt in it. If I do, fix it to the best of my ability and then let it go. This is an ongoing process that I carry with me. But the beginning of it is tell the truth, and as Jesus the Christ said, the truth will make you free. Thank you. And so we'll just take that idea into meditation for a few minutes. as you sit here quietly and just allow your body to settle. If you're uncomfortable, you can work out any kinks. And just breathe, knowing that it is love that you breathe. What I see in my mind's eye is this big word in bold typeface, truth. There's a truth with a small t that we've been given from the time we were born. It's true that you're a boy and a boy has to act this way and a girl has to act this way. It's the truth that you will be punished if you don't do what I want you to do. It's the truth that even after you're out from under my thumb, you will punish yourself because you'll be so used to it. Those are small t truths. Those are things we do in our humanness when we are not allowing our humanness to be completely informed by that which, yes, powers our humanness, but is so much more. And so we allow to float up in this, all capital letters, truth. The truth that we are one with each other. The truth that love always wins. It's a good truth to start with. There's a deeper truth that there was never a competition in the first place. We're playing a game, but it's always been rigged in love's favor. And so we start to allow this truth that no matter what I've done, no matter what has happened to me, no matter what I believed, no matter what other beliefs and actions issued from that belief that may have been false, no matter, the truth is, I am loved and I am free. And everything else is just a game of untying the knots. The knots are only earthly knots. They're not spiritual knots. So in that way, the stakes are fairly low because we are who we are. We are that love in truth. And yet, as we navigate this human world, creating karma, which the Buddha says is really just the mindset that allows us to keep doing things that we wish we weren't doing and that create more problems for us down the road. So we make a decision to allow truth to reign supreme. And as for our human selves, just the facts. There's no such thing as a bad fact or a good fact. They're just facts. And when we look at the facts of our life, we can look at them with compassion. I've learned to say when I'm confronted with one of those facts, "Oh, Melinda, poor little sweet baby, there you go again." Can you be that gentle with yourself? Sweet love. like you did it again. And you know the truth. And at any moment, you are free again when you choose to accept that. When Jesus said, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. I believe that he meant a deep inner knowing. A knowing that in this place, when we get quiet, when we allow the noise of the world to be at bay for even a few minutes, we make contact with that one truth that lives inside all of us. That one self that is the self supreme, as the Hindus call it. That one self in which there is no confusion. That one self that knows itself as not separate from any. One, not two. No multiple, just one. That's who we really are. And if that's what we're on earth to remember about ourselves, then why wouldn't we have some tangles to get through, to learn what we need to learn, to get back to the truth that was always true and that is ours forever, without beginning or end? We are one. We are safe. We are whole. We are free. Not limited by any appearance here on earth, but bound inextricably to that one that is the source and substance behind all. And supporting all and overarching all. We are that. And so as we breathe in this moment, breathe in the relief, sigh it out. I don't have to be better than anybody. I'm already one with everybody. I'm definitely not worse than anybody. I am already one with the one. We breathe that in. We allow it to take its place in our hearts to become the truth that we look to. The truth that we allow to be our guide. I am one with the one, and I am grateful for that one. And so it is. Amen.